It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness.
Welcome, everybody, to an episode of the Hitting Zone podcast. This is the first of 2025. It has been about 4 or 5 weeks for me since I've actually been on a show. So
Okay.
I have to remember how to podcast, and you're my first guest in a while.
Yeah, hey, we're all trying to get back to some normality after the holidays. So I'm right there with you.
Did you gain the 10 pounds during holiday?
It feels like it. Too scared to actually check, but it feels like it.
I don't have a scale, so
Hey,
I
there
can't
you
do that.
go.
Shout out to our sponsors, Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. You can go check out. They got their tournaments up right now. I know that the high school side, they're more on the youth side, which it's Youth Baseball Midwest. We got to give our love to Game 7 Baseball. For those of you that are searching high school, you can use Google. It's a great place for it. Otherwise, game7baseball.com. I'm down here at the recruits facility. We're at the practice factory. It's the first time I've actually been in this facility. It's actually pretty cool. So I guess it's like some sort of sports mall. But I got a special guest, which is the hitting guy for the recruits. If you can go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
How's it going? My name is Tyler Mischel. I'm the hitting coordinator here with R.B.C. Happy to have you guys talk shop a little bit.
Tyler Mischel with a red beard. So I kind of went with like the French, kind of vibe.
Yeah.
With the red beard. That's different.
Yes. No Irish.
No Irish.
Yeah, no Irish. Just
You got green eyes, blue eyes, and you're even more
Yeah.
rare. I like this. It's a ginger thing, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's not many of us out there, and then there's a less amount of blue eye, orange haired guys out there.
Absolutely. We stick out. That's for sure.
Yeah, let's talk hitting, man. This is one of my favorite things to do, and it's kind of been a hot topic lately. And I just wanted to ask kind of a few questions on not necessarily what you do here with R.B.C. If you want to talk about specifics with R.B.C., we can do that, of course. But just kind of your individual views on some things, and we can obviously talk about some of the guys that you have down here. But some of the things that I've been getting a lot lately is I've been getting some kickback from parents on, what is the right way to train our young people. And I was just talking with some of your guys back here. They're hooked up on this Rapsodo golf, which looks like it's a blast. But the big key for me is is prepping the body, priming the body, warming up properly, movement training, over more of the the drills of hitting. What is kind of like some of your philosophies on instructional side of business when it comes to young players and the mindset?
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with who you're talking to, age. There's some guys where we might want to get into some things with the swing, but some strength needs to kind of be there ahead of time. It depends on who you're talking to. But yeah, the movement stuff is definitely a big one. Especially early in the winter and kind of moving, ramping up towards some live at bats and stuff like that. The movement stuff is big. The reps are big. We use machines a lot in here just to kind of simulate the speed of things a little bit. But it's crazy.
If so, I want you to do one-on-one lessons and stuff, or is it more geared towards team? Or team? Are you more the hitting coordinator here?
Yeah. So the classes that we run here are in a group setting. We used to do the one-on-one stuff. We moved to a group setting to try and get more kids in, get more time with them when they're here, get more swings. It's worked out amazingly.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, we would never go back to any more one-on-one stuff. It brings out that competitive aspect of it too. When you're hitting with a buddy, you're hitting with a teammate. You're going to challenge yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, I love where that went too, because that was another topic that I wanted to discuss. So we'll just go ahead right into this and talk about so I'm 44. How old are you?
34.
So we're not too far apart in age, where I'm sure you've been teaching for a while. I got 20 years under my belt. And so one of the big things for me is when I first started, one-on-one was like, that was the thing, right? It was 30-minute lessons. They wanted as many reps as we can. It didn't matter so much about other things. Where now, and I don't know if this is just development of data and things that we've come across in the last 10 years, right? But you're starting to see coaches challenge athletes differently, which gets into our group settings.
Yeah.
Which, as a personal instructor, so I am part of our hitting coordinator at the facility for New Era Baseball, and then I also give lessons, right? So, and I do more of the group setting than I do one-on-one. One, it's the value of time, right? And so in 30 minutes, I can't be nothing more than a BP guy.
I agree.
Do you have kind of that similar feel?
It's the exact
or vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And even that, it's like, okay, let's get our 30 minutes of swings in, cram as much as we can in that 30 minutes, send you out the door, and see you next week. And
there's
like
nothing else.
You come back in, and the first 10 minutes we spend is, you getting moving a little bit, but also kind of rehashing what it is we did a week ago, trying to get your body to acclimate again. And it's the time aspect of it. We don't have the time in that setting to get better the way that we need to.
Yeah, and I've noticed, just in talking to other coaches and coordinators about group settings, you're also doing them longer. They might be an hour and a half. Yes. You made 90-minute sessions. I think that's a good number. Then I like the 90-minute sessions because we do a lot of med ball stuff. Two-handed, the 2-pounders. Trying to focus on movement patterns so that we can obviously execute in skills and drills and stuff like that. So I like the 90-minute session, believe it or not. But I think the 4 to 6 athletes, what that does for me is I'll have a high school kid working with an 8th grader. Well, what's the 8th grader want to be? They want to be a high school athlete, right? So then they're just kind of soaking up the information and watching these kids and trying to idolize. And I found that, like you talked about, the competition side. Yeah. When I hit with my guys, and I haven't played baseball in 4 years, but when we would hit in the off season, that's the one thing I love was hitting with somebody else. Yeah. And I just felt like if that guy was hitting missiles, I wanted to make sure I didn't have a bad day 100%. On the tee. And
it goes the other way too. You hit on the young guy looking up to the high school guy, but I think it's good to put the high school guy in that setting as well. Just be the example.
Yep.
Kind of keeps them on their toes a little bit. They might have to explain something a little bit to a young guy. And if you can get a high school guy to explain how they're doing something to a younger kid, man, they eat that stuff up.
I love that. And that creates leaderships, especially in where we're at in today's kind of youth where, we see a lot of quiet kids. I don't want to use the word introverted because I think we use that term loosely, and I have before. But when you have a quiet guy that's a great athlete, you're going to want him to get out there. So we've started forcing our kids, and I'm using the word force, to go out and volunteer for camps and working with, everybody from the 9-12U range, because it gets them out of their comfort zone, which I think is great for baseball, right? Is being comfortable with the uncomfortable.
I haven't talked to a high school kid yet who at the end of a camp didn't enjoy their time with those young guys.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that would have been the case beforehand, if they would have owned up to that or admitted that. But by the end of it, man, it's almost like they're re-energized, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
They love it.
I mean, it does to me, but I've been around for a while, and absolutely. And I actually started with balls and strikes when I first got out of college, and so I actually was that guy that was the young coach that was working with campers, and I used to have Keith Kachuk, Keith's older than I am. Brady and Matthew Kachuk, we used to go over to DePere Park. I know I'm giving a shout out to Balls and Strikes here, but we used to go to DePere Park and we did that. So I had Francis Slay's son. I had all these guys, kids that at 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm like, wow, that kid's a super athlete. And they're like, hey, do you know who that is? And I'm like, he's a 6-year-old kid to me, and I'm some 18, 19-year-old kid. And I'm like,
okay, it makes sense.
Keith's got no teeth because he stands in front of a net getting blasted, or getting punched in the face. And I know where everything's at. But then you see him make it, and it's like, man, how cool. And I know it's just a small, minute part of a person's life, but I think that's why we coach, just to be that small part of somebody's life. And I love to hit. this is my favorite thing to do in the game. I think it's everybody's favorite thing.
100%. Yeah, we're over in the pitching side right now, and it's just I'm ready to get back over there.
Well, I actually started as I got older, challenged myself to learn more about the pitching side.
I need to. That's pitching is a language that I do not speak yet. So,
What position did you play when you played ball?
Corner infield.
Third baseman,
third,
mostly.
First, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not that tall.
No, I'm not.
I'm assuming you're right-handed.
Right-handed. Yes.
Where'd you go to college, or did you?
So I started at Jeffco. Transferred from there to a small 4-year in Kentucky, St. Catherine. It's an NAIA school.
Gotcha. I'm not too familiar with all the NAIA schools.
Yeah,
obviously,
there's
I
a
know
lot
my
to keep
MOBAPs
track.
and
Yeah, a lot to
Central
keep track.
Methodist that's around here. But how was your time at Jeffco?
It was good. I was there I was there briefly. I committed there out of high school. Came to the conclusion that I wanted to kind of get away from home a little bit, and I came to that conclusion a little bit late.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to transfer, and I was very happy with where I ended up.
Nice. So I like that one because we'll talk about a little bit of the recruiting side. I know this is kind of away from the hitting. I'm not really talking about R.B.C. hitting here, but recruiting's a big thing right now. Absolutely. For obvious reasons. You know, we have D1 going to like basically no scholarship limits anymore.
Yeah.
So a lot of things are changing, and we're going to probably see a lot of JUCO
Yes.
kind of movement with some of our athletes. Even our top athletes might go to that junior college route. That's something I actually wish I did, was actually stayed home and went to junior college versus going away. I went to Missouri Western,
Okay.
and it was just far enough where I had no responsibilities.
That's
you know,
fair.
I didn't have to have my parents in my ear all the time, making sure I was doing the right thing. And so, do you think that that's normal for kids that want to go away, or do you think it's more normal to kind of stay within, 2 hours from home?
I think it just depends on the kid.
Yeah.
We see both sides of it. I was on both sides of it. It took me being here for college to realize that I felt like I needed to go elsewhere and kind of see what else was out there a little bit.
Was that one of those decisions where you made like what was best for Tyler? Because I feel like, did you go find yourself when you went away from home? Because you didn't have parents to rely on. You had to do your own laundry.
I did, absolutely. Yeah. And maybe some on the baseball side, but more so outside of baseball.
Gotcha.
I grew up quite a bit, and at the time I needed that. It was really good for me.
All right, let's talk hitting, because that's what we're here on this show for. One of the things that I see, and this is just me just evaluating kind of the community of hitting and club baseball, we see a lot of generic routines.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was excited about coming down here is I love Dave. I love following Dave Wiggins, and so I got this personal attachment, to Dave. I'm not sure why, because
He's a good dude.
Orange and Black, maybe, of Webster Groves.
Yeah.
I'm a Rittner kid, which was
Okay.
black and orange, but.
Okay.
There's something about this place, and then you guys got some athletes, and so I'm curious on, and I'm not asking you to call anybody out, of course, I'm not doing the same thing, but what is the drive for you guys as a hitting group? Like, what makes you guys separate? And without giving away your secrets, I'm not trying to steal your secrets here, but what makes you separate from everybody else?
I think that we do a really good job of putting together a program and an idea, a foundation that is very individualized. I think that kind of like what you hit on a little bit, there are some very generic things and drills and stuff. And it's always about figuring out what that lowest hanging fruit is for that guy and chasing that. When we start talking about the, future, Division I athletes, maybe we're chasing that 1%. If we're talking a young guy, it could be the most basic thing in the world, but we do, I feel like, a very good job of figuring out what that is, attacking that specifically, and then kind of going from there. It's
basically what I got out of that is you're evaluating the athlete.
Yes.
And you build plans on the athlete.
Yes.
Do you guys just like do hitting once a week, or do you guys do like more of a hybrid program where you guys connect like through like Zoom calls or building programs?
So
and then
we don't do anything remotely yet. Everything that we do is going to be in-house. Our players have the option to come see us once a week, twice a week, and that's on top of the team stuff as well. We see a lot of players outside of our hitting classes, just weekend stuff and late night practices. Myself and Canberra, who run the hitting program, we spend a lot of time with our hitters. It definitely helps. But yeah, they can come see us as many times as they want to, basically.
Yeah. I know some of them that are down here because we get to see some of them in the GACs. You got Brendan Pyle and Nolan Sism down here. I think you got some more that I'm not super familiar with. I'm in the backyard of Sism. He's trained in my facility with his dad when he ran a team out of there until he outgrew the team. And I think immediately came down to you guys, about 13, 14 U.
Yep.
So I've been around the young man for a while, and then a few of those, now juniors, I guess, the 2026 class. How fun is it to have some of those types of players that you get to train with?
It's fun. It's a blast. Obviously they're talented, and that helps, but they work their butts off, man. They get after it. That does. And it's energizing for us as coaches as well, because we want to match that, and we want to make sure that not only do we match that, we set the tone for those guys in here a little bit. And they're a blast.
I think one of the things that I am trying to get through to individuals is that you always, and I'm guilty of this too, and I say we have time. And realistically, we don't.
No, we did. Yeah.
And when I used to think about that, I was like, well, we have time if you go to work, right? Like if you're going to work tomorrow and we're going to start this program and we're going to do something 5-6 days a week, we do have time because you're going to have, you need the time to do that. But realistically, like I think about that now and I'm like, we don't. And I try to express to these guys that, I'll have an 11U parent tell me that they have what they think's a D1 athlete.
Right.
I know what a D1 athlete looks like. I've coached college athletics. I've played college athletics. I've played with professional athletes. And to me, I'm like, you have a long ways to go.
Right.
Some of that's IQ. I think sports IQ in general is down because we don't play enough. We're not paying enough attention to baseball.
Yeah.
But I think about just the simple work ethic stuff. And when I look at guys like, and I'm going to bring Brendan up and, Nolan, because I know them too.
Yeah.
But Titus Sissel just graduated, got, drafted by the Diamondbacks. You had a year ago, kid from CBC, Nas, get drafted. And all they do is work. And when you look at their body and you look at their physique, and you could just go all and alone in just that without their baseball skills. The work ethic has got to be there if you're going to make it D1. So even if you're 11 years old, you can't just practice one time a week and play a game on a weekend and expect to be great, right?
Yep, absolutely. Especially on the hitting side, more so than anything else. You can't do this once a week. It's just not how it works.
Do you have a magic number? I know there's no real magic number on swings in a week.
No, just because some days I would, some of our guys will come in, they'll take short rounds, everything clicks, it feels great, and it's like, all right, we're good. There are some days where that's not the case. We have to work a little bit more. We kind of, have to build up to that point a little bit, but I'm just hit. I don't know, hit all the time. No number, just whatever that number is, try and go over that.
I love that because I don't think we talk about that enough. And again, that may even come into like the mental side of the game, right? Like what is feel good? What is, presence, having the presence of understanding, hey, my round is not great. Don't let me continue to say, hey, coach, one more. If you're not processing what you're thinking about. Do you guys do, and I know that one of my big things was always like, how's your mental makeup, right? And I was like, well, I can fix mental makeup. Most of what I drive on my mental side is stuff that I've experienced, right? So it's not always the case with these athletes. And so when I think about the mental side, I'm trying to create these mental opportunities for them. Thinking about when you have feel good rounds, why do we need to take 8 swings? Why can't you just take 3 or 2 or 3 swings or 5 or 6 and be done? Do you guys do things like that where it's just like feel good or processing type sessions?
For the older guys, a little bit more so than the younger guys. The older guys have kind of earned that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They know when it's right. They know when they feel good. When they also know when they need to lock it down and really chase after something in their round. The young guys, it's kind of more on us. We will get them out of the cage if they need to get out of the cage. We'll keep them in the cage if they need to stay in the cage.
Gotcha.
and just kind of get after it a little bit more.
In your opinion, is that a maturity
100%.
or lack thereof?
100%.
They need just
if you get a kid in there that's struggling a little bit, they're just dwelling on the struggles up to that point, and they're not locked into what they're about to do. We try and break rounds into smaller rounds. So get 3 swings, win all 3 of those swings, get out of the box, move around a little bit, get back in. Anything we can do to break up one big round into some smaller rounds, we tend to be more focused on those 3 swings, 4 swings when we do it that way.
Yeah, I kind of like that with the younger side, just because you don't really have the time to dwell if they are having a bad round.
Absolutely.
You just get your 3 down, and then you have time to maybe think
you,
about it after, so that's a part of the processing.
Yeah, if you had a bad round, it just meant you had 3 bad swings, and you've got a lot more ahead of you. Instead of, okay, I had a bad session. Now I'm feeling a little bit worse about my day because I'm thinking of my entire set as an round.
Yeah, because it really, you think of, I'm thinking about this on a personal level, not as an 11 or 12-year-old kid, but when I'm thinking about 3 and say I have a bad swing, it's like, okay, I get out of there. I'm not upset yet, right? I haven't lost confidence.
Yeah,
now, if I take 3 more and I have 6 bad swings, I might start to get frustrated. I might start to get, a little irritated with myself or doubt myself and abilities. So I kind of like that little, short round BP sessions.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, again, how do we help the mental makeup? Well, if a kid's struggling, he's already coming out.
Right.
So on swing 2, I can try to help him a little bit to make sure he maintains confidence. But when he gets done, it's just, hey, just process it.
Yes.
Flush it, reset, find your everybody's got a little tick that we have as hitters because that's how we are. But I'm feeding off that a little bit because that's something that we don't always do. Now we do something similar. It may be a different idea, but I like the short round BP in sessions in case they're struggling.
Yeah, and it's not all the time. And it's not always 3. Sometimes it's 5. It's whatever we want it to be.
Yeah, sure.
But it's the idea behind it of just trying to break things up a little bit more.
What is your ideal hitter?
Oh man, my ideal hitter is somebody who can be on time more than most and can use the whole field gap to gap with power.
I noticed that you didn't say anything about cool leg kicks or mechanics. It's just be on time.
Mechanics are going to be different based on the hitter that, whoever it is we're talking about, how they move, why they move, why they need to move that way it's constantly changing. But where we get to what we're trying to do it's always the same.
I asked that question on purpose, just to kind of see where you were going to go with that. Because somebody, may answer, well, I like the guy that's got that majestic light tower power.
Oh, of course.
And I'm like, well, that's the easy one.
Yeah,
and then you hit me with be on time. And we see swings like Julio Franco's of the world, the guy from the Giants, I can't think of his name, with the red beard for the life of me right now. He had the ugly swing. He had the high socks.
Pence?
Yeah, Hunter Pence. Thank you. I forgot who I was talking about. But what made him a big leaguer was his ability to be on time and adjustability.
I want to talk to the scout that watched that guy and said that's a first rounder.
Especially,
I want to talk to that guy.
Especially when you see some of the grades for Derek Jeter and stuff like that, and you're like, guys aren't going to make it.
He knew it. He saw him play. He's like, that is a big league first rounder. It's like, all right, take your word for it.
But I love that piece, man. Just a guy that can get on time and use gap to gap. And it's like I see so many kids wanting to sit and rip, and try to hit pull side bombs in a cage. And I'm like, man, the best way that you can approach a cage session is hit every baseball back in my face, and you'll talk about impressing me. And I love that thought process there. Yep. Tyler, it's been fantastic. It's first time coming down here, first time meeting you. I think I've probably seen you on the field before, just never really connected. But good luck. Stay healthy with your guys this winter. I guess high school's getting ready to start. Yep. But you got Instagram?
I don't. I'm not a social media guy.
Oh, really?
It's just never been something that I've been really big on.
How are you 34 and don't have Instagram or TikTok or Twitter?
I do have a Twitter. I do have
All right. Twitter. That's social media.
Yeah.
So what
no
can we?
Instagram.
All right. So how do we follow you on Twitter?
So Recruits Hitting is my Twitter handle. Not a ton of activity there, but it's me. I'm retweeting and I'm following. I'm just not very loud.
All right. Well, then how do we get a hold of you if somebody wants to hire you? A group of kids want to hire you. Call up here?
Call on up here. Reach out to Coach Wiggins. Blow his phone up. He's got my number.
Man, I wasn't prepared for that. I was fully expected like Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and 8 Facebook pages. That's what I have, so you can follow me on like 85 different platforms because I like to do the hybrid side. So I like to get a little bit of remote because I really want to attack the athlete and change the mentality of hitting because everything today in today's community seems like it's so driven on that one-on-one. Let me be a guy that flips batting practice. There are so many young coaches out there that'll be happy to take your 30 minutes and your $40 or whatever it is for that 30 minutes and just flip. That ain't me. I want to build better athletes, and the, part of this winter workout tour is meeting those guys that share those like-minded visions, because ultimately we represent St. Louis baseball.
Yes, we do.
I am part of it. So are you. We are part of this community together. So make sure you go tweet him or X him. I don't know.
At Recruits Hitting.
At Recruits Hitting. I know that was ridiculous. I don't know what this is. Generation D Generation X. I was gonna keep it up top though for the youth kids. They have no idea who that is probably, but. Man, I appreciate it. Good luck to you guys, and congrats on those boys that are signing and getting to that next level.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Can't wait to continue to follow their spring.
Yep, excited.
Thank you, guys, and have a great day.
Thanks, guys.